My child, I want to speak to you today about something I placed in you long before you ever noticed it yourself. You have always sensed that you did not quite fit the mold that everyone around you seemed to fit into so easily. I want you to know today that this was never an accident, and it was never a flaw. It was intentional, and it was mine. You did not arrive at this message by pure accident. Something quieter than chance drew your attention here, at this exact point in your life, and I want you to trust that pull, rather than dismiss it as nothing. It is not nothing. It is the beginning of something you have needed to hear for longer than you have admitted, even to yourself. I want to speak honestly about what you have been carrying, because I do not think you have let many people see the full size of it. You have smiled through days when something heavier sat underneath. You have shown up for responsibilities while feeling genuinely depleted. You have carried concerns too complicated to explain in a single sentence, and you have done most of it quietly, without complaint, because you did not want to become a burden to the people around you. I want you to know that none of that has gone unnoticed. You have not been distant from the eyes that matter. Even in your hardest, most tired moments, difficulty has a way of stripping away everything except the most honest parts of a person, and honesty, even when unpolished and full of doubt, is worth paying attention to. I want to talk today about the specific sense you have likely carried for a long time. The feeling that you were made for something more particular than simply blending into whatever room you happen to be standing in. I do not want you to hear that as a claim that you are somehow superior to the people around you. That is not what being set apart means, and I do not want you to build your sense of worth on comparison to anyone else. Being set apart simply means that your particular combination of gifts, experiences, sensitivities, and convictions was shaped with a specific purpose in mind, one that only you can fulfill in exactly the way you are equipped to fulfill it. I want to speak about what it actually feels like to sense this kind of purpose without being able to fully articulate it. It often shows up as a persistent restlessness, a feeling that you were made for something more specific than simply getting through each ordinary day. That restlessness is not ingratitude on your part. It is not you being difficult to satisfy. It is a signal, placed there intentionally, meant to keep pointing you towards something you have not yet fully stepped into. I want to talk honestly about the specific loneliness that can accompany sensing this kind of purpose, especially when the people around you do not seem to share the same depth of longing for something more meaningful. I want you to know that this loneliness is real, and it does not need to be minimized. But I also want you to know that this particular sense of being different is not meant to separate you permanently from other people. It is meant, eventually, to connect you with the specific people and the specific work that your particular gifts were shaped to serve. I want to speak now about what has actually been happening beneath the surface of your life during this long, difficult stretch, because I think you deserve to understand it more clearly, rather than simply being told to keep waiting without explanation. You have developed a deeper capacity for patience than you likely had before this season began. You have developed a clearer sense of what actually matters to you, refined through wanting something and not receiving it immediately. You have developed resilience specifically through continuing to function even when circumstances offered very little visible encouragement to do so. I want you to understand that these developments are not separate from whatever comes next in your life. They are the actual foundation that makes receiving and sustaining something genuinely meaningful possible. The version of you standing here right now, shaped by genuine difficulty, is considerably more prepared to walk into your particular calling than you may currently give yourself credit for. I want to talk about the specific difficulty of feeling different from the people around you, especially in seasons of your life when fitting in seemed to matter a great deal. I know there were moments when you tried to make yourself smaller, quieter, more similar to everyone else. simply to avoid the discomfort of standing out. I want you to know that this attempt made complete sense given the pressures you were facing at the time, and I do not want you to feel ashamed of having tried it. But I also want you to know that the specific qualities you tried to hide were never actually flaws. They were the very things I placed in you intentionally, and they remain there, waiting for a season when you feel safe enough to let them show more fully. I want to speak now about what it means for a purpose to be genuinely yours, rather than something borrowed or imitated from someone else's life. Your particular purpose is not going to look identical to anyone else's, even people whose work seems similar to what you sense yourself being drawn toward. It is shaped specifically around your own history, your own particular wounds, and the compassion they have produced in you, your own particular strengths, and the specific way you have learned to use them. Comparing your unfolding purpose to someone else's already visible calling rarely helps you understand your own more clearly. It usually just produces unnecessary discouragement. I want to talk about the specific fear that you might be wrong about sensing any kind of particular purpose at all. That this persistent restlessness is simply wishful thinking rather than something genuinely meaningful. I want to address that fear honestly. That kind of persistent, specific longing does not typically invent itself out of nothing. It tends to point towards something real, even when it takes considerable time to understand exactly what that something is. I am not asking you to be certain about every detail of what this purpose will eventually look like. I am asking you to trust that the longing itself is worth taking seriously, rather than dismissing it as simply an unrealistic expectation you should quietly let go of. I want to speak now about what specifically might begin shifting in the days ahead as you take this sense of purpose more seriously, because I do not want this message to remain entirely abstract. You may notice gradually a growing sense of clarity about decisions that previously felt confusing or overwhelming. You may notice conversations landing differently than similar conversations have landed before. You may notice opportunities appearing that specifically require the particular combination of gifts and experiences you have developed through your own unique life. I want you to pay attention to these shifts as they begin appearing, not with anxious scrutiny that examines every small development for proof that everything has changed, but with a kind of quiet readiness that simply notices and receives what arrives without demanding it conform to a specific dramatic shape. I want to speak about comparison for a moment because I suspect you have occasionally wondered why other people seem to have found their particular direction more quickly or more visibly than you have so far. Other people's timelines are not a measure of the value or the eventual outcome of your own particular calling. What has been quietly building in you does not need to match anyone else's visible progress in order to eventually matter in your own life, in your own time, in a way specifically suited to what you have actually developed through this particular stretch of your life. I want to talk now about forgiveness because I suspect it connects to at least part of what has been unsettled in you lately. Forgiveness does not mean pretending something did not hurt you, and it does not mean allowing someone back into your life who has shown no real change or accountability. It simply means loosening the grip that a past wound has over your present peace. You are able to release someone from your resentment without necessarily releasing them back into your daily life. Those are genuinely two separate decisions, and you are allowed to make one without automatically making the other. If there is a specific situation you have been quietly holding on to, even a low, simmering resentment you rarely mention out loud, consider setting down a portion of that weight today. Not because the original situation was fair, but because that resentment has likely been costing you more over time than it has been costing anyone else. And it may be quietly interfering with the compassion your particular purpose actually requires of you. I want to speak about the version of yourself that existed before certain hard seasons changed you, because I suspect there are days you quietly miss that earlier version, the one who trusted more easily, who worried less about being hurt again, who had not yet learned to brace for disappointment before it even arrived. You are not required to return to exactly who you were before, as though everything you have lived through since then was simply damage that needs undoing. Some of what you have become through hardship is genuinely more solid than what existed before it. And much of it is likely part of what equips you specifically for the purpose you sense yourself being drawn toward. I want to address the fear of hoping again after being disappointed too many times, because that fear makes complete sense given everything you have walked through. Hope that has been crushed repeatedly starts to feel dangerous, almost reckless. But protecting yourself from hope entirely does not actually protect you from anything real. A life lived without any hope at all is not actually safer. It is simply smaller. I am not asking you to hope recklessly, ignoring genuine warning signs or real patterns from your past. I am asking you to leave a small amount of room for the possibility that your sense of particular purpose is not destined to be disappointed the way some of your past hopes were. Some of what you are sensing about your own calling is genuinely going to unfold, and I would rather you notice it clearly when it does than have trained yourself so thoroughly against hope that you cannot recognize it even standing directly in front of you. I want to speak now about what it means to actually trust a process you cannot fully see the end of yet. Trust like that is difficult, especially for someone who has learned through hard experience that things do not always work out the way they were hoped to. I am not asking for blind trust that ignores reality or refuses to acknowledge genuine difficulty. I am asking for a steadier kind of trust. One that can hold both truths at once, that things are genuinely unclear right now, and that something meaningful is still unfolding underneath that unclarity, even before it becomes fully visible. I want to talk about patience for a moment, not as passive waiting, but as an active, ongoing choice to keep paying honest attention even when clarity is not immediately available. Real patience involves continued honest attention, alongside continued waiting, and it deserves genuine respect, rather than being dismissed as simply doing nothing while time passes. I want to speak about identity for a moment, because I think a great deal of what has weighed on you connects back to quiet uncertainty about who you actually are underneath your circumstances, your responsibilities. Your daily routine, circumstances shift constantly, but the core of who you actually are has remained steady beneath all of it, even during the seasons that felt most exhausting. I want to speak about community as well, because I think isolation has likely made this season feel heavier than it needed to feel. Even a small amount of genuine connection, a single honest conversation, can meaningfully lighten a burden that feels unbearable when carried entirely alone. Feeling set apart for a particular purpose does not mean you were meant to walk entirely alone. If you have been isolating yourself, consider reaching toward at least one person you trust in the coming days. I want to talk now about gratitude, not as an obligation, but as something genuinely useful moving forward. Gratitude tends to widen a person's capacity to notice good things as they actually arrive, rather than remaining so fixated on what has not yet happened that the things which have already begun shifting go unnoticed. I want to invite you to notice, honestly, whatever small good things are actually present in your life right now, even amid everything that remains difficult. I want to speak plainly about self-compassion as well, because I suspect you have been considerably harder on yourself throughout this long season than you would ever be towards someone else, demonstrating the exact same sustained hope under the exact same pressure. If someone else had walked through everything you have walked through, you would likely admire them without hesitation. I want you to consider extending that same admiration toward yourself, rather than continuing to minimize what your own sustained hope has actually required and accomplished. I want to talk about rest now, because I think you have likely postponed it more than you should have, believing that maintaining hope meant never fully acknowledging how tired the process of sustaining it has actually made you. Rest is not a betrayal of the hope you have built. It is what allows that hope to continue sustainably, rather than eventually collapsing under its own accumulated weight. I want you to give yourself permission to actually rest, not as a reward you have to earn through more sustained belief, but simply as a necessary part of continuing to be who you have already shown yourself capable of being. I want to speak now about what it actually means to be set apart in a way that serves other people rather than only serving your own sense of significance. The particular qualities you carry, the sensitivities, the convictions, the capacity for compassion built through your own suffering were never meant to remain private, existing only for your own benefit. They were shaped over time to eventually reach someone else who needs exactly what you have to offer, in exactly the form you are equipped to offer it. I want you to consider that this is a very different framing than simply being told you are special in a way that separates you from everyone else. Being set apart, in the way I actually mean it, is set apart for service, not set apart for superiority. It is a particular assignment, not a general elevation above other people. I want you to hold your sense of purpose with that distinction clearly in mind, because purpose that curdles into superiority tends to isolate a person and eventually harden them, while purpose held in genuine humility tends to deepen a person's capacity for real connection with others. I want to talk about what it might look like practically to begin stepping more fully into this sense of purpose, rather than only sensing it privately without any concrete action attached to it. Consider the specific area of your life where you already sense the clearest pull. Whether that is a particular kind of work, a particular way of caring for people, a particular skill you have quietly developed over years without fully recognizing its significance. I want you to consider one small, concrete step you could take in that specific direction, not a dramatic leap requiring you to have everything figured out in advance, but a modest, honest step that begins moving you closer to that sense of calling. I want to speak about the specific fear that stepping toward this purpose might mean failing publicly, being misunderstood, or being rejected by people who do not share your particular sense of direction. I want to address that fear honestly rather than dismiss it. Stepping toward a genuine calling does carry real risk. Not everyone will understand it. Some people may genuinely misunderstand your motives or your direction. I cannot promise you that everyone will respond with enthusiasm or support. But I can tell you that continuing to hide a genuine sense of purpose out of fear of misunderstanding tends to cost you more over time than the discomfort of occasionally being misunderstood by people who were never going to fully grasp your particular path anyway. I want to talk now about what has actually been happening beneath the surface during this long season of feeling different, because I think you deserve real explanation rather than only comforting reassurance. Feeling out of step with the people around you, especially over a long period of time, tends to build a specific kind of clarity about your own values, your own priorities, your own sense of what actually matters, precisely because you have not simply absorbed the default assumptions of everyone around you without examining them. I want you to consider that this clarity, built through genuine difference, is genuinely valuable, even when it has felt isolating to develop. I want to speak about the specific relationships in your life that this sense of difference may have tested, sometimes revealing which connections were genuinely capable of appreciating you as you actually are, and which ones required you to minimize yourself in order to maintain comfort and closeness. I want you to consider honestly which relationships in your life have actually made room for your particular gifts and convictions, and which ones have quietly asked you to shrink them instead. This is not an invitation to become bitter toward people who have struggled to understand you. People often struggle with difference simply because it is unfamiliar to them, not because they intend any harm. But it is worth noticing, honestly, which relationships genuinely support the fuller expression of who you actually are. Because those are likely the relationships worth investing more deeply in as you continue stepping more fully into your particular purpose. I want to speak now about the specific grief that can accompany realizing certain relationships require you to be smaller than you actually are in order to remain comfortable. That grief is real, and I do not want to minimize it by rushing past it towards simple acceptance. It is genuinely painful to realize that being fully yourself creates distance in a relationship you value. I want you to let that grief exist honestly, while also allowing it to eventually inform how you invest your energy going forward, rather than continuing to minimize yourself indefinitely simply to preserve a comfort that was never actually serving your growth. I want to talk about the specific relationships that have genuinely made room for you to be fully yourself. The people who have not required you to shrink your particular gifts or convictions in order to feel comfortable around you. I want you to notice those people specifically, and to consider expressing gratitude toward them directly, if you have not already done so. Genuine support for who you actually are deserves acknowledgement, both because the person offering it deserves to know it mattered, and because naming that support helps you fully register its significance. I want to speak now about what it might mean to begin trusting your own particular sense of direction more fully, even when you cannot yet articulate every detail of where it is leading. Trust in your own discernment, rebuilt slowly through small, low-stakes moments of following your own genuine sense of what matters, rather than only external expectation, tends to hold up considerably better than confidence forced into place all at once before it has had time to genuinely stabilize. I want to talk about hope specifically, because I suspect hope about your own particular purpose has felt considerably riskier to you than it once did earlier in your life. Hope about calling that has been disappointed or dismissed by others starts to feel dangerous, almost foolish. I understand why guarding against that feels safer than continuing to hope openly about your own particular direction. But I want to gently challenge the idea that protecting yourself from that hope entirely is actually protecting you from anything real. A life lived without any sense of particular purpose is not actually safer. It is simply smaller. And you were never meant to live small, simply because certain people or certain seasons discouraged you from taking your own calling seriously. I want to speak now about patience as a practice rather than simply a passive state, because I think it is often misunderstood as merely enduring without complaint. Real patience involves continued effort, alongside continued waiting. It means still showing up, still trying, still taking small steps toward your particular purpose, even while the larger picture of where it leads remains unclear. That kind of patience is far more demanding than passive waiting, and it deserves genuine respect rather than being dismissed as simply doing nothing while time passes. I want to talk about setbacks specifically, because I do not want to suggest that once you begin stepping more fully into your particular purpose, everything moves forward smoothly without any further difficulty. Setbacks are a normal part of almost every meaningful process of pursuing a genuine calling, not evidence that the calling itself was never real to begin with. If you experience a setback while stepping toward this purpose, resist the urge to interpret that setback as proof that you misunderstood your own sense of direction. Growth toward a genuine purpose is rarely a straight upward line. I want to speak about identity once more, because I think it deserves repeated emphasis given how easily external circumstances can distort a person's sense of who they actually are. It is easy to let other people's expectations or the general pressure to fit in define your sense of self. especially during long seasons where standing out felt costly. I want to gently remind you that you are more than whatever role you have felt pressured to play in order to fit comfortably into spaces that were never quite built for the fuller expression of who you actually are. I want to speak honestly about the specific temptation to give up on this sense of purpose right before it actually begins to clarify. Because that particular moment, right before genuine clarity becomes visible, is often the hardest one to endure. It is the point where you have already invested so much patience and effort into understanding your own direction that continuing feels almost unbearable, while you still cannot see any concrete evidence that clarity is about to arrive. If you find yourself in that exact moment right now, I want you to know that the temptation to give up on this sense of calling does not automatically mean you misjudged it. It often simply means you are closer to genuine clarity than the discouragement in front of you would suggest. I want to speak plainly about forgiveness now, both toward other people and toward yourself. Because I suspect this long season of feeling different has left you carrying some resentment in more than one direction. Forgiveness does not mean pretending something did not hurt you, and it does not mean allowing someone back into your life who has shown no real change or accountability. It simply means loosening the grip that a past wound has over your present peace. I also want you to consider forgiving yourself for whatever moments you tried too hard to fit in, minimizing your particular gifts simply to avoid discomfort. You were doing your best with the resources and the courage you had available at the time. I want to talk about the version of yourself that existed before you learned to hide certain parts of who you are, because I suspect there are moments you quietly miss that earlier version, the one who expressed things more freely before learning that certain expressions of yourself made other people uncomfortable. You are not required to return to exactly who you were before, as though everything you have learned since then was simply damage that needs undoing. Some of what you have developed through this careful navigation is genuinely valuable discernment, even if it has sometimes come at the cost of expressing yourself as fully as you might have otherwise. I want to speak now about what it means to actually trust a process you cannot fully see the end of yet. Trust like that is difficult, especially for someone who has learned through hard experience that being fully yourself does not always receive a warm reception. I am not asking for blind trust that ignores reality or refuses to acknowledge genuine social risk. I am asking for a steadier kind of trust, one that can hold both truths at once, that being fully yourself carries real risk, and that something meaningful is still worth pursuing despite that risk. Because the alternative, permanent self-minimization, carries its own considerable cost. I want to talk about the specific relief of finally being able to express more of who you actually are, now that some of the pressure to constantly manage other people's comfort at your own expense may begin easing slightly. I do not mean that you should abandon all consideration for others or become careless about genuine relational needs. I mean that the exhausting sense of needing to remain smaller than you actually are, in order to avoid ever making anyone uncomfortable, can begin to soften as you gain more clarity about which relationships and situations genuinely welcome your fuller expression. I want to speak about gratitude once more, because I think it deserves to be revisited rather than mentioned only briefly. Gratitude in the context of a long season of feeling different is not about pretending that season was easy. It is about noticing, honestly, whatever genuine growth and clarity that difficult season has actually produced in you, rather than allowing the difficulty of it to completely eclipse everything valuable that came from it. I want to talk now about what legacy might mean in the context of finally stepping more fully into your particular purpose. Because I think you have likely underestimated how the way you eventually live this out might influence other people around you, even without your direct awareness of it. When you choose to express your particular gifts more fully, rather than continuing to minimize them indefinitely, that choice does not only affect you, It quietly gives other people permission to do the same with their own particular gifts. Sometimes people you are not even thinking about in the moment you make that choice. I want you to carry that knowledge gently, not as additional pressure to perform your calling flawlessly at all times, but as a quiet reminder that your own particular journey toward genuine purpose has value extending well beyond your own personal experience of it. I want to close this reflection with one final honest thought, before moving toward some practical closing guidance. Everything shared here rests on a truth that was true long before this message reached you, and will remain true long after you finish reading it. You are someone who has continued sensing a genuine, particular purpose, even through a long season of uncertainty about exactly what it is or how to step into it fully. That sensed purpose, sustained through real difficulty, has built something valuable in you. Something that was never actually dependent on immediate clarity in order to matter. I want to leave you with a few simple, practical things worth holding on to in the days ahead, because insight alone rarely sustains a person through an ordinary difficult afternoon when old uncertainty resurfaces unexpectedly. Notice the small signs of clarity rather than only watching for something dramatic and undeniable. A conversation that reveals something important about your own direction, a moment of unexpected confidence in expressing a genuine conviction, a quiet sense of internal alignment about a decision that once felt confusing. These are not insignificant. Give yourself permission to rest without guilt, recognizing that sensing and pursuing a genuine purpose through real uncertainty is genuinely demanding work deserving of real recovery. Be patient with how gradually clarity tends to unfold, understanding that lasting direction is rarely built or received all at once. Keep speaking honestly, both to yourself privately and, where it feels safe to do so, to people who genuinely understand and value your particular gifts. And finally, keep returning to this quiet, steady truth for as long as you need it. What you have sensed about your own particular purpose was never wasted. Even during the stretches it felt entirely unclear. It mattered then, and it continues to matter now, as whatever comes next gently begins to unfold around what you have already quietly, consistently sensed within yourself. Take a breath. Let your shoulders drop just slightly from wherever they have been holding tension without you fully noticing it. You have already demonstrated repeatedly exactly the kind of quiet endurance that sensing and pursuing genuine purpose requires. That track record means something real. Carry it with you gently into whatever comes next, trusting that the clarity you have quietly waited for is finally beginning to catch up to the sense of purpose you have already faithfully carried. I want to speak a little more about what this quieter shift might actually feel like as your sense of purpose continues clarifying, because I think it is easy to imagine that kind of clarity as something loud and dramatic, when in reality it often arrives in far smaller, steadier forms. It might look like a decision that once felt impossible suddenly becoming clear. It might look like a specific opportunity appearing that seems to require exactly your particular combination of gifts. It might look like nothing more dramatic than a growing sense of internal steadiness, a quiet knowing that whatever comes next, you have already begun to understand what you are actually here to do. I want you to hold space for all of these possibilities rather than narrowing your expectation down to only one specific form clarity must take in order to count. Sometimes the most meaningful confirmation is the quiet kind. The kind that settles into your own sense of direction rather than arriving as a dramatic external event. I want to talk now about what it means to keep growing, even after this particular sense of purpose becomes clearer, because I do not want you to mistake initial clarity as a finish line rather than a continuing process. Purpose is not something fully understood once and then permanently secured. It continues to require the same quiet, consistent attention that helped it clarify in the first place. I want to speak plainly about the fear that once you finally step more fully into this purpose, you might fail publicly or discover you misunderstood your own calling entirely. I want to address that fear directly. Genuine purpose, sensed through repeated moments of honest reflection over a long period of time, is not erased by a single moment of difficulty or a single misstep along the way. You are allowed to have uncertain moments even within a genuine calling. What matters is the overall pattern of honest attention you bring to it, not flawless execution from the very first step. I want to close this reflection with one final, honest thought. Everything shared here rests on a truth that was true long before this message reached you, and will remain true long after today ends. You are someone who has consistently sensed a genuine, particular purpose, even through genuine uncertainty about exactly how to step into it fully. That sensed calling, sustained across a genuinely uncertain season, has built something real in you, something that was never actually dependent on immediate clarity in order to matter. Carry that truth gently into whatever comes next. You do not need to force clarity to arrive faster than it naturally will. You simply need to continue paying honest attention to what you have already consistently, faithfully sensed within yourself, trusting that whatever is already beginning to unfold will continue to reveal itself clearly in its own time, exactly as it has already begun to do. Wherever you are reading this, whatever room, whatever moment of your day this happens to be, let it settle into you fully. Before you move on to whatever comes next, you are not required to feel completely different immediately. You are simply invited to remain a little more aware of the particular purpose that has quietly been building in you, trusting that whatever is unfolding will continue to reveal itself, patiently, one honest day at a time, starting from right now. I want to speak a little more before I let this close, because I think there is real value in staying here a bit longer rather than rushing toward the end. I want to talk about the specific weight of carrying a sense of difference quietly for a long time without anyone around you fully understanding it. There is a particular kind of loneliness in that. One that has nothing to do with being physically alone and everything to do with feeling unseen, even while surrounded by people who genuinely care about you. You have likely minimized parts of yourself in conversations, not out of dishonesty, but because explaining the full depth of your particular convictions felt exhausting, or because you were not sure anyone would actually understand, even if you tried. I want you to know that being misunderstood by people who love you does not mean you have been truly alone in what you have carried. It simply means human understanding has limits, even within good and caring relationships. Every version of your particular convictions that never found the right words, every feeling too complicated to explain in a normal conversation, none of it went unnoticed. It was known fully, even in the moments you felt most invisible to everyone around you. I want to speak now about the small, quiet acts of integrity you have shown that likely went completely unrecognized by anyone else. The moments you chose honesty when a small compromise would have been easier. The moments you continued caring for people in your own particular way, even when it was not the way others expected care to look. The moments you kept believing in your own sense of direction, even without anyone else confirming it. None of that was small. It takes real strength to hold onto a genuine sense of self while carrying real uncertainty, and that strength deserves acknowledgement, even if you have rarely given it to yourself. I want to talk honestly about frustration as well, because I think some of what you have carried was not only loneliness, but genuine frustration at situations that felt unfair, at people who dismissed convictions that mattered deeply to you, at a version of your life that has not yet unfolded the way you sensed it eventually would. Frustration is not automatically wrong. It is often simply evidence that something mattered deeply to you. You are allowed to let it exist honestly, without letting it become the permanent lens through which you view your own future before it has even arrived. I want to talk about the version of yourself that existed before certain hard seasons changed, how freely you expressed who you actually are. Because I know there are days you quietly miss that earlier version, the one who spoke more freely, who had not yet learned to carefully measure every expression of a genuine conviction. I want to offer you a different way of thinking about that earlier self. You are not required to return to exactly who you were before, as though everything you have learned since then was simply damage to undo. Some of what you have developed through careful navigation is genuinely valuable discernment, even if it does not always feel that way. I want to speak now about what it means to actually trust a process you cannot fully see the end of yet. Once more, because it deserves repeated emphasis rather than being said only once and left behind. Trust like that is built slowly, through small moments of choosing to keep expressing genuine conviction even without complete certainty of how it will be received, rather than through one dramatic decision made once and never revisited again. Every time you choose honest expression despite uncertainty, that trust becomes a little sturdier, a little more able to hold you steady the next time doubt returns. I want to talk about patience once more as well. Not as passive waiting, but as an active, ongoing choice to keep moving toward genuine purpose, even when results are not immediately visible. Patience is often misunderstood as simply enduring without complaint, but real patience involves continued effort alongside continued waiting. I want to speak honestly about setbacks once more, because I do not want to suggest that once real clarity begins, everything moves forward smoothly, without any further difficulty. Setbacks are a normal part of almost every meaningful process of pursuing genuine purpose, not evidence that the purpose itself was never real to begin with. Growth toward genuine calling is rarely a straight upward line. I want to talk about identity once more, because I think a great deal of what has weighed on you connects back to quiet uncertainty about who you actually are, underneath other people's expectations of you. Circumstances shift constantly, but the core of who you actually are has remained steady underneath all of it, even during the seasons that felt most uncertain. I want to speak about community once more as well, because I think isolation has likely made everything feel heavier than it needed to feel. Even a small amount of genuine connection, a single relationship where you do not have to minimize yourself, can meaningfully lighten a burden that feels unbearable when carried entirely alone. I want to close this extended reflection by speaking directly, one final time, to whatever specific fear or doubt is loudest in you right now. In this exact moment, as you finish reading, whatever that particular fear is, it does not have final authority over what actually happens next in your life. Fear is loud, and it often feels urgent and convincing, but it is not always accurate, and it is not always predictive of what will genuinely unfold. You are allowed to feel that fear honestly while still choosing to express a little more of who you genuinely are, despite it. So take one more slow breath before you close this message and move forward into whatever comes next in your day. You have carried a quiet sense of purpose for long enough, often without full clarity, often at real internal cost. Something lighter is genuinely allowed to begin now, even quietly, even gradually, even before you can fully explain everything that has shifted inside you. Something has changed, and you are allowed to let yourself believe that one honest step at a time, for as long as it takes to feel solid beneath your feet again. There is one final thread I want to leave with you, because I think it ties everything else together in a way that might make the whole message easier to carry once you step away from it. Everything shared here rests on one simple assumption, that you are worth this much attention, this much care, this much patience extended toward your own particular purpose and growth. You are not required to prove your worth through performance in order to deserve rest or good things arriving in your life. Worth is not a reward given out for flawless behavior. It exists underneath performance entirely, present even during your least productive, least impressive seasons. I want to leave you with a simple, honest picture to hold on to in the days ahead. Picture yourself a year from now, looking back at this exact season, remembering the specific stretch of uncertainty about your own purpose that you have already walked through. Imagine that future version of yourself being able to say, honestly, that something did clarify after this. Not necessarily instantly, not necessarily dramatically, but genuinely, over time. Through a series of small, deliberate choices that gradually built into something solid. That future is not guaranteed simply by reading these words once and moving on immediately. It requires continued, ordinary effort from you, day after day, in ways that will rarely feel significant in the moment they happen, but it is genuinely available to you, starting from wherever you currently stand, regardless of how far behind or how uncertain you might feel right now. Remember, one final time, that you have already carried this genuine sense of purpose through every difficult day up to this exact point in your life, without a single exception. That fact alone deserves more credit than you likely give it in your quieter, more discouraged moments. Whatever specific uncertainty you are currently facing, you already have direct evidence, built from your own lived experience, that you are capable of holding on to a genuine sense of direction through real difficulty, even when you cannot yet see exactly how it will fully unfold. Carry that evidence with you gently as you move forward from this moment. Not as pressure to perform clarity perfectly, but as a quiet, steady reminder available to you whenever doubt returns. You have already built something real. Whatever comes next simply continues to reveal what was already true about you long before circumstances began confirming it more visibly. Let this be the moment you choose to continue being exactly who you have already consistently sensed yourself to be. Gently, honestly, one small step at a time, trusting that the next step will become visible once you have actually taken this one. That has always been enough to keep moving forward, even during your hardest, most uncertain seasons. And it remains enough today as well. Wherever you are reading this, whatever room, whatever moment of your day this happens to be, let it settle into you fully before you move on to whatever comes next. You are not required to feel completely different immediately. You are simply invited to remain a little more aware of what has quietly been building in you, trusting that whatever is unfolding will continue to reveal itself, patiently, one honest day at a time, starting from right now. My child, you were set apart, not to stand above anyone else, but to serve in a way only you can serve, to love in a way only you can love, to notice what only you notice, and to offer it, in your own time, to the people and the work it was always meant for. Carry that gently. Let it be enough, and let it be the beginning of whatever comes next.